Can I hide in here? Adam asked, sliding onto the beanbag chair Jeff had recently acquired. Trouble in paradise? Jeff asked, not looking away from the screen. She's not mad, but she's disappointed, which is worse. And I keep thinking about what that waitress said, about the key lime pie not finding out. It's a metaphor, kid, Jeff said, a delicious, citrusy metaphor. I love Jen, Adam said. But is this it? Is the rest of my life just avoiding waitresses and feeling guilty about dimples? Jeff paused the movie. This was the big brother moment he secretly enjoyed. Listen, Adam, marriage isn't about giving up your dimples. It's about finding someone who knows your dimples are a lie and loves you anyway. That's deep, Jeff. Did you get that from Seagal? No, I got it from 12 years of trial and error. Look at me. I'm sleeping in a room that smells like old socks and cheese doodles because my wife can't stand the sound of my breathing. That's commitment. But don't you want to go back? Of course I want to go back, Jeff admitted. The guest room is great for a vacation, but it's a lousy home. But I'm scared, Adam. Scared of what? The surgery? No. Well, yes, but mostly. I'm scared of the fade. You start sleeping in different rooms. You start having different lives. And then one day, you wake up and you realize you're just two people sharing a lease. Adam looked around the cluttered guest room. So what are you going to do? I'm going to get the damn surgery, Jeff said, the words feeling like a heavy weight being lifted. Not because I'm not scared, but because I'd rather be in a coma with Audrey by my side than awake in a room full of cheese doodles without her. That's actually really sweet, Adam said. Don't tell anyone, Jeff warned. If this gets out, my reputation as a cynical jerk is ruined. Chapter 8. The Aftermath of the Knife. The surgery was, as Audrey had promised, simple. But for Jeff, it was a saga of epic proportions. He insisted on having his last meal, 3 double cheeseburgers, the night before. He wrote a living will that mostly concerned who would get his various sports jerseys. When he woke up in the recovery room, his nose felt like it had been used as a punching bag by a professional boxer. How do I look? He croaked as Audrey appeared by his bed. Like a white Jerry Rice, she joked, her eyes shining with relief. But a very quiet one. Did they do it? Jeff asked. Did they trim the girl part? They fixed your airway, Jeff. You're going to be fine. Good, Jeff said, his voice fading as the painkillers kicked back in. Audrey? Yes, honey? If I fall back asleep, will you stay? I'm not going anywhere, she promised. That night, for the first time in weeks, they slept in the same bed. Jeff didn't snore. He didn't whistle. He just breathed soft, steady breaths that synchronized with hers. It was the quietest night they'd had in years, and yet it was the loudest their love had ever been. In the morning, Audrey woke up and looked at him. He looked ridiculous with the bandages on his nose, his hair matted, his mouth slightly open, but he was there. Jeff, she whispered. Roll over. Why? I'm not snoring. I know, she smiled, pulling the covers up. I just wanted to make sure you were still awake. I'm awake, Jeff said, reaching for her hand. And I'm not going back to the guest room. Good, Audrey said, because I threw away the beanbag chair. You what? And just like that, the world was back to normal. Chapter 9. The Arrival of the Storm. Barb. If Jeff and Audrey were the steady rhythm of a long-term marriage, Audrey's sister, Barb, was the sudden, unpredictable thunderclap that occasionally shook their foundation. It started with a phone call. She's doing what? Jeff asked, pacing the living room with a piece of toast in his hand. She's coming here, Audrey said, her voice a mix of excitement and trepidation. She and Rick are having problems. Rick? The guy who dry cleans his jeans? The guy who power walks with a fanny pack? How can they have problems? They're the gold standard of boring stability. Apparently, stability is getting a bit too stable, Audrey said. Barb needs a break. She needs a wild weekend in New York. Oh, great, Jeff groaned. The last time Barb had a wild weekend, she ended up buying a parrot and naming it after her ex-boyfriend. My style is going to be seriously cramped. Style? Jeff? You spend your days off in your underwear watching games. That's not a style. That's a cry for help. It's my cry for help, Jeff defended. Barb arrived like a whirlwind. She was Audrey's sister in every way, sharp, beautiful, and possessing a laugh that could be heard 2 blocks away. But there was a fragility to her this time, a restlessness that Jeff noticed immediately. Jeff! she shouted, throwing her arms around him. "You look the same. It's comforting, really. Like a favorite old rug that you can't bear to throw away." "Nice to see you too, Barb," Jeff said, patting her awkwardly on the back. As the evening progressed, the truth came out. Barb and Rick weren't just having problems. They were on the verge of a breakdown. "Everything is just so planned," Barb said, sipping a glass of wine. "Date night every Saturday. Treadmill every morning. It's like living in a very nice, very clean prison. I want to cut loose, Audrey. I want to do something impulsive." "Like what?" Audrey asked, concerned. "I don't know. Something wild. Something meaningless." Barb's eyes drifted toward the window. "Is your doorman available?" He looked like he had a dark past. "Manny?" Jeff snorted. "Manny's dark past involves a very intense hobby with model trains. Trust me, you don't want to go there." "I just need to feel something," Barb sighed. Chapter 10. The Russell Factor, again. The situation became infinitely more complicated when Russell Dunbar entered the picture. To Russell, a vulnerable, beautiful woman looking for meaning was like a lighthouse to a shipwrecked sailor. They were all at the diner: Jeff, Audrey, Adam, Jen, and Barb. Russell arrived, looking like he had spent 3 hours preparing for a casual lunch. "Who is this vision of loveliness?" Russell asked, his eyes locking onto Barb. "This is my sister, Barb," Audrey said, her voice warning him to back off. "Barb, this is Russell. He's a friend." "Sort of. A friend?" "Audrey, you wound me," Russell said, taking Barb's hand and kissing it. "I am a connoisseur of beauty, and you, Barbara, are a masterpiece." Barb giggled. It was a sound that made Audrey's blood run cold. "You're funny," Barb said, "and you have a very interesting mustache." "It's a goatee," Russell corrected smoothly. "And there's more where that came from. Would you like to see the rest of the collection tonight? I have a very nice bottle of wine and a view of the park that will make you forget all about whatever it is you're trying to forget." "Russell!" Adam hissed. "She's married!" "Married is just a word," Russell said, not taking his eyes off Barb. "Like saturated or non-refundable. It's all about context." To everyone's horror, Barb didn't shut him down. She looked at Russell with a curious, slightly reckless expression. "You know what? A view of the park sounds exactly like what I need." Audrey spent the rest of the lunch trying to talk Barb out of it, while Jeff watched with a mix of amusement and horror. "This is going to be a disaster," Jeff whispered to Adam. "It's a train wreck," Adam agreed. "And Russell is the guy standing on the tracks with a bouquet of flowers." Chapter 11. The Night of the Meaningless. The evening was a series of frantic phone calls and nervous pacing. Audrey was convinced that Barb was about to ruin her life. Jeff was convinced that Russell was about to get punched by Rick. "I have to stop her," Audrey said, grabbing her coat. "Leave it, Audrey," Jeff said. "Barb's a big girl. If she wants to spend an evening listening to Russell talk about his calf implants, that's her choice." "He has calf implants?" "He says he doesn't, but have you seen him in shorts? Nobody's calves are that symmetrical." Meanwhile, at Russell's apartment, things weren't going exactly as Russell had planned. He had set the mood candles, music, expensive wine. He was ready to be the bad boy Barb needed. But Barb wasn't interested in a bad boy. She was interested in talking. "So," she said, sitting on his couch and ignoring the wine. "Rick used the spatula as a back scratcher last week, while he was flipping burgers. Does that mean the marriage is over?" Russell blinked. This wasn't the conversation he wanted to have. Well, it certainly suggests a lack of culinary hygiene. But let's focus on us, Barb. The chemistry, the tension. And the fanny pack?" Barb continued. "He wears it to the grocery store. He says it's ergonomic. How can I be attracted to ergonomic?" Russell tried to pivot. He tried to tell her about his parents' divorce, about his own regrets, about the hollowness of his playboy lifestyle. He was being surprisingly honest, mostly because he didn't know what else to do. "My parents gave up," Russell said. "They just stopped trying. And it's the biggest regret of their lives. Next to having me, of course." Barb looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the loneliness beneath the expensive suit. She saw a man who used flirting to keep people at a distance, much like she was using this wild weekend to avoid her own reality.